All right, it's that time again, time for another Sunday video. And I'm thinking we talk about several different things, including perimeter defenses. Let's get to it. Today I want to do something completely different from my channel. I have never done this, and I've not wanted to do this. Well, no, I have wanted to do this, but I knew that I'd get throttled and at some point probably punished because it involves explosives. And I tried to steer clear of firearms and explosives for that reason, because why bring unwanted attention? I mean, bringing attention is always good, but not unwanted from like authorities type thing. But how I'm going to present this, hopefully I'll be okay. We're going to talk about camp perimeters and basically camp safety. We're going to leave the government out. If you think you're that important that the government's going to spend $1 billion trying to search for you, you're already wrong. You know, unless you actually have the Epstein files that supposedly no longer exist or never existed, and he killed himself for no reason, but you have a copy of those files, then yeah, the government's probably going to spend $1 billion looking for you. If not, and the world is post-apocalyptic, shutting down, and everybody's trying to flee to their own families, they're probably going to leave you alone. So the main concern at that point would be animals or other people in that area. And we want to set up some type of early warning system. Not booby traps, I'll say that again. Not booby traps, not snares, nothing to harm any animals or anyone. We just happen to be camping over that hill like I showed you in that series. And we want to set something up above us, so if someone were to walk down there at night, maybe a loud bang goes off, maybe a flare goes off into the sky, something that will give you an early warning that's far enough away that you can still hear, but allow you to pack up and get out of Dodge, or at least go to a different location and observe who or what that was. So on that note, let's go ahead and talk about early warning systems. Now, before we get too far down the trail, the Etsy store is open. And once again, the Etsy store is open. We got 100 Corporals Corner hybrid skillets dropping right now. That link is in my video description box. Grab them while you can. They'll last anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours, and you're SOL till next week. Once again, we got 100 Corporals Corner hybrid skillets in my Etsy store right now. That link is in my video description box. Get her done. This right here is from a company called CampSafe. It is their version of a 12 gauge perimeter triple arm. It's very simple. In fact, it's nothing more than housing and a firing pin. I'll show you that here in a minute. And it does exactly that. Toss in a standard 12 gauge blank or shotgun shell, and once it's tripped, boom, it goes off, loud noise. You can also invert it upside down like this, pop in an aerial flare, like from a flare gun. Same thing, boom, flare goes off, lights up the sky. Now looking at this, we have our pull ring. All you're gonna do is you're gonna pull this up to set your firing pin. This large cylinder right here is a firing pin. On the inside, it's very simple. You have nothing more than a firing pin and a spring, just like on a rifle. Put that inside there. Once you lock it in place, move on down, we have our trigger pin. So you simply pull the pull ring, and there's a small opening right there. This will go inside that opening to lock it in place and set your actual trigger. You got 2 indentations right here, one here and one here. You can wrap this around a tree using zip ties or some type of cordage. Today we're going to use cordage and an arbor knot. You also got 2 mounting holes right there. On the bottom we have our breech. Again, standard 12 gauge blank or shotgun shell. Boom, either or. They prefer you to use blanks, but I'll show you how to convert an actual shotgun shell into a blank, and we'll do that today. Goes right inside there, locks in place. Tie it to a tree, set your firing pin. Once you remove your trigger pin, kind of like thinking of a grenade, pull that pin. Once that releases, the firing pin slams home on that breech, and boom, there you go. Now, before we go any further, it's a big disclaimer. This system is made to be used with a 12 gauge blank. Can you fire an actual buckshot or slug through this system, or a live 22, or even a 308? Because they come with actual conversion kits for these as well. The answer is yes to all of the above. However, here's the danger. You're going to fire that into the ground. Now, if it's 1 foot off the ground, you think it's just going to go into the dirt, so be it, so be it. However, if that shell is made out of brass, meaning the shotgun shell, or cheap steel, it could blow apart. There's always instances where that occurs. Also, all those BBs or pellets are going to go into the ground. What's going to come out? Rocks, debris, maybe broken glass. So I would suggest staying 100% safe. Go to a gun store and buy 12 gauge blanks. Now, last resort, you have to put a live shell inside here, I mean a live shotgun shell. I'm going to show you how to actually convert a shotgun shell into a makeshift improvised blank. There's still danger. However, it's safer than buckshot blowing everywhere. So most shotgun shells nowadays have this outer plastic. I purchased these clear ones. You can actually see where I'm going to cut at. Now, if you don't have a see-through one, all you got to do is do a pinch test. You'll feel it give around the BBs right here. And as you get back here, you're going to feel it's kind of hard. That's your plug right there. So real quick, you have your BBs or your buckshot. You have a plug that separates the buckshot from the gunpowder or Pyrodex, whatever's inside your shell. The primer sets it off. So the firing pin hits the primer, boom, it ignites this, and all this is forced outward. So what we're going to do is we can cut it right here and get the BBs out, or cut it right there, get the BBs out, or simply saw that plug in half and get the BBs out. So it kind of depends on what length you want to deal with. The length doesn't really matter. You just don't want to cut it right here because then all the powder is going to fall out. So pick your poison. I'm going to actually try to saw through that plug right in the center. Because I can see through it, I know where to cut it. If not, I'm going to do that pinch test. Now I can feel those BBs. I can simply cut around right here and empty it out. So I'm just going to work this around, cut it off right there. Done deal. And there's my makeshift, do-it-yourself 12 gauge blank. Now we have several lead balls that we can go ahead and just toss in the woods, or find a way to actually cut a small groove in these. Now lead is way softer than steel, and if you had to, you can probably saw into these with your actual saw. Get a small groove, get it on some fishing line or number 36 or even number 12 bank line, then just pinch it together with a pair of pliers, needle nose or regular, and you have improvised fishing weights. So we'll hold on to these. Now, using our camp safe 12 gauge perimeter triple arm, we can just gently pull that firing pin back, gently, and take our improvised blank, slide that thing right on there. It will actually be held in place, and now we can take this and set our triple arm. So it's got to be pulled out this far to set it. You see that hole right there. So gently pulling it back. There's no fear of it actually going off. We just want it pulled back enough to where it's recessed, and we can slide our 12 gauge blank on there. There you go. And once again, once it's on there, it's not going to fall off. Ideally, you want to get these triple arms as low as possible because you want an animal to actually step through it and actually pull that pin out. So what I suggest is no more than a foot off the ground. I'm going to do a foot, that way you can see what I'm doing. We have a round end and a flat end. I'm going to find the flattest spot and stick that thing right on there. Then we're going to tie an arbor knot around these indentations and tie it off to the tree. So like I've shown 1,000 times, we're going to simply just go around and create that overhand knot or that pretzel knot. And then we're going to take our end, make one more knot, and then we're going to crank that thing down like a zip tie. And then finish it off with an overhand knot so it can't slip. this point right here, it's pretty straightforward. All you're going to do is attach a piece of cordage. Now that could be fishing line, that could be number 12 bank line, number 36 bank line. It could be some type of Kevlar line. It could be the inner strands of paracord. You want to connect to that little retaining pin, pull it as tight as you can without pulling the pin out, and then tie it to a tree on the opposite end or drive a stake in the ground. All you want to do is have that flexible enough to where somebody hits it or something hits it, it's going to pull that pin out, and that pin will slide right out of there. So once you have the cordage of your choice tied off to a tree in the distance or simply tied off to a stake that you hammered into the ground, get your improvised blank and arm your device. Ooh. On that note, boys and girls, 3, 2, 1, fire in the hole. So that right there is a flawless victory. Just barely even pulling that, just like this. That pin came flying right out of there, and it was instantaneous, no delay whatsoever. So I guarantee you, securing that opposite end, like we talked about, to a tree or to a stake, and it doesn't have to even be tight. It can bounce around like this. Grab that line, let it just flop around. Anything where your foot's going to hit that and just barely pull on it, it's going to come right out of there. I believe you're actually making that pin slide out probably less than half an inch, And you could probably set that thing for a hair trigger where it's a 1/4 inch. Any movement at all is going to pull that thing right out of there. And boom, it goes off. Now that should scare away an animal and possibly a person. Probably think they're getting shot at. Now, the exact same methodology, strapping it to a tree, we just invert it and you can use an aerial flare from a flare gun. Now the one concern, you see this thing in movies all the time, like Predator. It goes off into the jungle and flies way up in the sky and opens up. Well, what if you have a big thick canopy like this, or there's branches on your tree? It's going to hit that branch and come right back down. So the problem is going to be securing this to something where you have clear view of the sky, or it can be shot all the way up to where it's not going to be impeded by leaves or branches, etc., etc. And there we go. We got 2 successful tests, one in the ground and one in the air, of this camp safe 12 gauge perimeter triple arm. I'm sold on this. To pull this off, it's kind of locked in place. Just retract that firing pin, it pops right off. So I highly suggest you go to a gun store and ask them for 12 gauge blanks, or buy those adapters that are Amazon, or just go to the company Camp Safe and you're going to see 308 or 22 for the blanks. Just stay with blanks and you should be fine. If you absolutely have to modify a 12 gauge shell, do what I did and just treat it like it's a regular live round and you should be in business. I've seen a few demos where they actually fired buckshot off of this, and those that handle firearms, I'm going to go on a limb and say most likely it'll be fine, but why take that chance? Just be as safe as you can. So what I'm going to do here, because I'm sold on this, the company didn't send this to me. I actually bought one of these. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in my Amazon affiliate page. That link is in my video description box. Click on it and look for a category on there. It should say like campsite safety. I'll label it something like that, like campsite perimeter or campsite safety. And you'll see this right there with the adapters. Go ahead and click on it if you want one. Again, I'm not an affiliate for the company at all, because I just saw these being printed around. I thought, you know what, I'm going to check it out, because I've talked about this years ago and just never showed it. And hopefully the way I showed it, it was safe enough for YouTube. Again, we're talking about animals and campsites and things like that. Just we're trying to avoid the, human being aspect of it. But, I think it was done safe enough, and hopefully it will be fine. Now, on that note, let's go ahead and move on. And now for the moment you all been waiting for, the Corporals Corner logoed knife. Check this out. Before we get started, I want to go ahead and make a comment here, actually a statement. And if you don't believe me, contact Tony Powers of Rebels Den. That's his knife making company, Rebels Den. And he'll confirm this story 150%. I get no portion of the sales of this knife whatsoever. I waived my affiliate fee. And I've done that for the sole purpose of trying to get his name out there and get him out of his day job to where he's making knives full time, where he can hire between 1 and 3 people, get them trained up, schooled up, to where he can turn these knives out, not just this one, but the other 5 or 6 that he currently has, and he can do it full time, with the intent of being at Blade Show year after year after year and entering the market as a true competitor. I've made this comment before. These knives are works of art. And, we've had a few individuals over the past year or so try to diss him and his company, trying to do everything they can to talk about how he makes jewels, not tools. Well, my humble opinion of this is 100% a jewel that's 1000% functional as a tool. And the very fact that that individual would say something like that is 1000% confirmation that he's afraid of healthy competition. With that said, Tony Powers has put in the dirt time. He doesn't make 1 or 2 knives a year and call himself a knife maker. He doesn't have, a couple of designs that he tosses into somebody else and they, work for 10 to 15 bucks an hour in a sweatshop somewhere producing knives. He actually produces between 25 and 30 knives per week after working 60 to 70 hours a week as a truck driver. So he's more than put in the time, and he ensures a quality product. Now, with that said, these knives are 100% made in USA with USA steel and parts. And with that, let's get into this knife right here. This is his Kephart design. Now, several individuals over the years claim that they have a knife that's the closest one on the market. This is the closest one that resembles the true thing. And when you look at it, it's got a pointy tip on it, a round broomstick handle, and it doesn't resemble it whatsoever. Here's a picture right here of one of the few existing Kepharts. And if you notice the blade profile, it's nice and round right here, and it goes back up inside. And that attention to detail is what Tony Powers has brought to this knife. The only thing that's missing is a 3rd pin, and I'm okay with that. This is a micarta handle, and to be really honest, I like it better with 2 pins. That nice, wide, beefy appearance, and when I grab this with my gigantic, meat hoof right here, it's actually feels nice in there. It's not tiny little baby handles that some knife makers make, and when you look at it, it actually resembles the Kephart knife. So, looking at this, I'm happy 100% with it. We have a Scandi Vex grind and sharp 90-degree spine on the back. It's stamped right here in the back, Rebels Den, so you know exactly who made it, where it came from. This is going to be my go-to knife from here on out. My logo's on it right there, Corporals Corner. And Tony Powers is offering this knife right now as we speak. All you got to do is go to my video description box. You're going to see Rebels Den right there. Boom. You click on it, it takes you to his Facebook page. You message him. He has some available right now, and he's going to allow for some pre-orders. So my suggestion is it's going to be just like my pans. First come, first serve. Jump on it right now. Once again, this is going to be my go-to knife week after week after week. And every single week in my video description box, you're going to see where it says Rebels Den. Just click it and message Tony Powers. His wife currently makes a Kydex sheath. This Kydex sheath is sold separately if you're not into Kydex. Once again, we have Justin Allen Sigmund. His link will be in my video description box as well. You click on it and you message him. He currently makes a sheath that will go with that knife. The infamous drain hole. Lastly, let's go ahead and talk about the appearance. It's made from 1095 carbon steel. We have that out of the forge look, nice and blackened on both sides. Gives it that uniqueness. No 2 knives are going to look the same. Full tang passes all the way through that handle. Once again, it feels great. No hot spots. Can get up in there with my large meat mittens and actually get the work done. Now, the logo. This is currently the only knife that will possess my logo. So of the other 3 to 5 to 7 knives that he makes, don't ask him for a logo because it won't be on there. The only one that's authorized to stamp with my logo is this Kephart right here. So once again, this is the Kephart knife. Contact Tony Powers, Rebels Den. That link will be in my video description box. Now, let's see what this bad boy can do. Not a damn thing wrong with that profile. Those chunks just coming right off that. And as you can see, even after all of that, this thing is still razor sharp. It cut through that piece of wood like it was nothing, rained sparks down like a damn meteor shower, and processed the fat wood like it was no tomorrow. There's no doubt in my mind whatsoever this is going to be a badass bushcraft blade that will do everything you want to do and then some. So once again, this is the OD Green Kephart with the Corporals Corner logo, made by Rebels Den. That link will be in my video description box. And if you're interested in the Kydex sheath, his wife makes those. Check them out. Tell him I sent you. On that note, don't forget the 100 skillets that are dropping to my Etsy store. Grab them while you can, because they go quick. Other than that, let's go ahead and get out of here. With that, all the gear in my videos can be found in 2 places. 1, my Amazon affiliate page, and 2, my Etsy store. Both links are found inside my video description box. Now please do me that favor. Hit that like and subscribe button, then ring that notification bell. Once you ring that bell, please select all notifications. And as always, thank you for your comments, views, and support. Thanks for watching. Get out in the field, have some fun. I'm going to catch you next time.